Here's everything you need to know about this new BMW X5M competition. Under the hood, we have a 4.4-liter V8 that is paired to a 48-volt hybrid system, and the total system output is 617 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque, all through an 8-speed transmission. And the hybrid system adds another about 12 horsepower, but another 147 pound-feet of torque when you set off. All of that catapults this big SUV from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. And if you get the M driver's package, your top speed is 177 miles per hour, which is really impressive. Now, definitely the best thing about this X5M competition is getting on the throttle, because it is not slow. That 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds is pretty obvious the second you go for the loud pedal. Pairing a 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 to that hybrid system means anytime you go for the throttle, acceleration is right there, even though this is a bigger, heavier vehicle. One of the things that makes this LCI, or Life Cycle Impulse, it's basically the mid-cycle refresh updated version of this X5 different, are the headlights. So they've made these headlights a little bit narrower. They've changed the shape and the character of the headlights. And that brings us a little bit into styling. This particular X5M is pictured here in this sort of olive drab green that is paired with black accents. And you can see that all over the place. There's really not any chrome anywhere on the body of this X5. You do have a little bit of polished material adding some contrast into your wheels and some M-branded brakes. But other than that, on the body, you really don't see any silver. Everything else is all blacked out, from the mirror caps to the trim around the windows to the roof rails. And coming back, this is a really nice feature. You've got just a little bit of a fender flare here to show you how aggressive this SUV is. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of necessary, because this is a 315 width rear tire. This is actually a staggered setup. It's a 295 in the front, which is already a very wide tire, but especially stepping around here to the back, look at those meats. There is a lot of rubber underneath this X5M competition, as you would expect from a vehicle that's made to not only put a lot of power and torque down to the ground, but is also meant to be a handling vehicle. Love the look of these taillights. You can also get the X6M, which gives you more coupe-like appearance to the back end, but if it were me personally, I would take the looks and the functionality of this more upright X5. Now, as far as handling goes, I know that these are some of the better handling SUVs in this category. That being said, the particular roads that we're on right now aren't very twisty, so it would be great to get some of these out in Colorado and test them out there, because we've got some great driving roads back home. However, the thing I like about this is, even though we're riding on pretty big wheels and wide tires, and this is a more performance-oriented SUV, the ride quality doesn't beat you up. It still feels nice and smooth and easy to drive day to day. It's not the kind of thing that you would at all struggle to commute with. Now, that begs the question, is it worth the massive premium? That's going to be a personal call, because there is a lot of money that you pay to have the acceleration and the performance that comes with this X5M competition. And that does add a lot of fun to this vehicle, but is it necessary? Probably not. Some of the other big updates on this LCI X5M come to the interior, and a big part of that is the BMW curved display. This is something that's making its way across the BMW lineup, and it's a nice pair of really high resolution, high contrast, heavily saturated screens. They look great, and they function very well too. So there's a 12.3-inch screen in front of the cockpit, and then in the center you have a 14.9-inch screen. And again, very responsive to your touch. They work well, they work quickly, and they look fantastic. Your climate controls are built into these screens. I know for some people that's not their ideal, but again, I mean, everything on this works pretty quickly, so it's not something that bugs me a whole lot personally, and it does definitely clean up the center of the dash here. There's not a whole lot going on here. You've got a couple preset buttons there, and then of course you have the center console here, your shifter with some M colors stitched into it. Got your start stop button, a few more buttons to change some of your drive settings and to navigate through your infotainment screen. And then directly in front of the driver, you have this M branded steering wheel. It's not flat bottom, it's round, which I actually kind of like. Also has the M color stitching on it. And you've got these programmable M buttons, as well as these really nice carbon finish paddles. The seats also deserve special mention because they've got nice bolstering. They're sharp looking seats with a couple different patterns that are stitched into them, but I really love the two-tone black on brown and this X5M badge that's right there in the headrest. Stepping into the back seat of the X5M competition, as you would expect for an SUV of this size, there's plenty of space. I'm about 5'10", and I've got plenty of headroom, plenty of leg room. I've got the seat pushed back pretty far. I've also got USB-C ports back here. I've got heated rear seats. I have my own climate vents, and they didn't really skimp on the design back here either. The Bowers & Wilkins speaker grills look just as good in the back as they do up front. The door cards look fantastic. They're also two-tone. The seats back here are also two-tone. And I love this on a lot of the M cars. The M colors subtly put into the seat belt here. In between the rear seats, you do have some cup holders in addition to a little storage cubby. And leave it to the Germans, this is a very overcomplicated mechanism for folding in the cup holders again. Not sure that that's quite necessary, but it works. Getting into the back of the X5M, even though this is a sporty SUV, they haven't skimped on giving you a decent amount of trunk space, especially because it's the X5 and not the X6, so you get a little bit more room up top here. And that's all good, although I will say one thing I don't love is the fact that if you're bringing something heavy into the trunk, then you'll have to set it on the tailgate and slide it forward, because this kind of keeps you from getting right to the end of the trunk space. And if you leave it up, you have to lift it over an even taller barrier. So I know a lot of people love this split fold design. I think there's pros and cons to it. I like that they've stuck with it. But something pretty interesting is that it's not only power open. If you hit this top button, the two of them fold in together, which is kind of a cool process to watch. It adds a little bit of complexity just to getting in and out of the trunk, but it's kind of cool. Across the X5 lineup with this update, there has been a price bump. Everything goes up as much as $4,000, no matter which model that you get. And the X5 starts now around $66,000. However, if you want one of these X5M competitions, you're gonna pay almost twice that amount, about $123,000 for this X5M competition, which begs the question, how much is that performance worth to you? Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and we'll catch you all in the next video.